This and every episode of REKT Podcast is brought to you by Beaxy Exchange, an upcoming cryptocurrency exchange built in collaboration with OneMarketData. Beaxy is bringing legacy finance speed, power, and sophistication to crypto for the first time. With 225,000 transactions per second per pair, comparable to NASDAQ, 15 order types on day one, with 25 order types on full rollout, and a dedicated customer support team, Beaxy is setting itself apart from the competition. Check out Beaxy today at Beaxy.com and pre-register today at Beaxy.com/registration to get your free Beaxy Exchange tokens. That's Beaxy.com, Beaxy.com.
Hey everyone, it's Chamber here. If you're interested in accumulating Bitcoin, you need to check out Lolli. That's Lolli. You can find them at lolli.com and on Twitter at TryLolli. Lolli is a free browser extension that lets you earn Bitcoin when you shop online. For every purchase at one of the Lolli merchants, you can earn up to 30% Bitcoin back directly to your wallet. Lolli has partnered with over 500 merchants, including Jet, Overstock, SeatGeek, and Priceline. Lolli is safe and completely free to use. And it's a great way to earn and share Bitcoin with family and friends. Don't miss out on your chance to accumulate more Bitcoin for the next bull run. Check it out at lolli.com. That's Lolli.com, and on Twitter at TryLolli.
I'm Franklin Fitch, and this is REKT.
Hello and welcome to REKT Podcast. I am Bunchu alongside my esteemed colleague and co-host, Crypto Chamber. Chamber, how you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing today?
Wonderful. It's Friday. The sun is out finally. It's been pouring here all week.
The sun is out, but are the guns out is the question.
Not quite yet, but, you know, they might be out later this weekend. I might hit the pool, you know, strut my stuff, you know. I've been on this diet where no carbs, no sugar, no dairy for the past 2.5 weeks. I've lost about 10 pounds. So
I've just been skipping lunch. You know, that's my diet. Breakfast and dinner.
Hey, that's a good diet. I think that's called intermittent fatting. Oh,
yeah,
wait, what?
That sounds about right.
Anyway, and we have a very special guest, fourth time on the podcast, making him our most recurring guest of all time, Franklin Fitch from Beaxy Exchange. Franklin, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing swell. Kind of finally getting down to a settled point here. Last week has been pretty wild, as we talked about privately, but yeah, it's been good, man, and I'm in a good spirit today. Similarly beautiful day in Chicago, and yeah, excited that it's Friday.
Have you gotten any sleep?
Yeah, enough. I think it would depend on who you ask on our team what their relative sleep status is, but yeah, the last week was very little, and then I think the last couple of days we've caught up, just because things have started to, steady out a little bit with the exchange, so sleep levels increasing.
So for anybody out there listening that does not know, Franklin is the head of marketing for the newest crypto exchange on the market, Beaxy Exchange. You've probably heard him on here before. You've definitely heard about it at the top of every show we've done for the past 8 months. So if you don't know, now you know. So Franklin, welcome back, and we're excited here to talk everything Beaxy Exchange, about the launch. I want to hear everything. Like, you guys had an interesting couple weeks leading up to the launch. The Discord was crazy. Everybody was I think waiting with bated breath for it to finally launch, and here we are. So when did you actually launch here?
Yeah, so it was it's been a long process. I think the launch wasn't necessarily like one event or two events or three events. It was a series of many different events that happened over a period of time. As you said, there was kind of build up some anticipation in the weeks prior to launch. Frankly, us getting roasted by the community for some natural delays, I think, that come with that stuff. I'd say moreover, launching any kind of software, especially an extremely complicated one, comes with delays and comes with interruptions and comes with flaws and things that you have to work through. So the process really began last week, where we reopened registrations. We had kind of shut off the gates, so to speak. It was like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Everyone's like, "Where's my golden ticket?" And then we reopened the doors and had a period where people could register and do KYC and all that stuff. And then we kind of slowly rolled things out from there. So after that, now all of a sudden we're opening deposits. Now all of a sudden we're opening order books. Now, just the other day we actually opened live trading. And that was an interesting process. The few days following that, there's always something that goes wrong. We had like this little issue with balances where people who had placed certain orders weren't always seeing their balance credited. That was our big thing that went wrong early on. But we navigated it super well, I thought. Our devs worked for probably like 48 hours straight to sort it through. And then we actually ended up giving people some bonus tokens for the inconvenience. Our customer support was super beast mode. I mean, they were just constantly, working through tickets and solving things with high satisfaction rates and relatively short periods of time. So, for a launch of ambitious software, I think it went extremely well. And I think the overall perception by the community is the same.
Yeah, I would say so. I've been, while I haven't been saying a ton in the Discord, I've been lurking basically every waking hour. So I have my finger on the pulse of the Beaxy Discord, and I would say, I'd say 98% positive reactions from the Discord. There's always going to be a few descenders that are just angry at life, but I think for the most part it's been pretty successful. So you opened trading on Monday, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So that was when we began the live trading period. It was Monday or Tuesday. To be honest, we've had this issue in the office where nobody knows what day of the week it is anymore. It's everyone's having this right now. Nick said yesterday something like, when it's Friday, I forget how he phrased it, but I was like, buddy, it's Thursday today. Like, do you know what day it is? And he was like, wait, really? It starts to blend together when you work constantly. We work weekends, we work well into the wee hours of the morning often, and then, kind of leave your ringer on in case someone calls you and something's broken and you got to wake up and fix it. So it's, I think people are starting to forget what day of the week it is. It was Monday or Tuesday. Let's sum it up at that. And
do you have any RTech barbecue planned to celebrate?
Yeah, so we're gonna do a brunch tomorrow. Not any barbecue or anything, but we are overdue for a good barbecue by RTech, the supreme leader. So we'll probably get some chicken this coming weekend, some pork, and throw it on the old grill.
That's awesome. So can you share with us any of the metrics that you've done in this week? Like, how has it been in your eyes? Success? Everything you anticipated? More than you anticipated? What do you think?
Yeah, I think more than we anticipated. The interesting dynamic there was Binance closing U.S. markets being announced like pretty much the day that we were about to roll out live trading, and right after we had rolled out order books. That was really crazy, because on the day of that news, I've quite literally never seen any level of social media activity like that. We had thousands of registrations that day alone. I think in the past week we've done, I don't even know exactly the numbers off the top of my head, but thousands of KYC passes. We've also solved thousands of customer support tickets, and I do want to give a shout out to our CS guys who have busted ass. I mean, they are really working super hard. We've had, after the balance issue was resolved, amazing feedback on our customer support. So thousands of customer support tickets solved with over a 90% satisfaction rate. One metric that I thought was really interesting was our Google page rank. When you look at actually what your page rank is as far as your website's concerned, rose. Now it's well over 100,000 positions in the span of like 10 days. So that was pretty insane. That means like just a ton of new visitors. We had our first day with 10,000 unique visitors to the site, and we actually spiked up to 20,000 at one point. And that's unique visitors. That's new people, visiting the site. Kind of distinct people visiting the site. The majority of those are, people that probably never visited Beaxy before. So that's pretty interesting. And there's a variety of other metrics. I think something like 2,500 followers on Twitter. It's been a crazy run. Periods of 48 hours where I've never seen metrics like that with anything I've ever participated in. So the overall span of 7 to 10 days has been, without a doubt, the best ever for our business.
Now, how would that, I think I remember you saying that the day that Binance announced, you guys were doing something like 250 new registrations an hour or something crazy like that. A minute or an hour.
Yeah, we had like a new registration every couple seconds.
That's wild.
Yeah, and that was people completing KYC. Now, wow. The caveat to that is that, our KYC provider is super cool. I mean, they have an AI-based system with this kind of facial recognition technology that's able to match you to your ID document. And so basically, I don't know if you've ever tried to go through KYC at like Poloniex or other exchanges, and literally will take sometimes years. I've had people tell me that I applied for KYC like more than a year ago and have not heard anything back, versus ours usually approves you within minutes. So those are KYC passes at that time. So not only people who, were interested in registering, but went all the way through the process and actually completed a full registration.
That's insane. So how does this, these numbers and everything like that, how does this compare to, what either other exchanges you've done that have done in the past that you know about on launch or anything like that?
Yeah,
how does that compare to stuff we've seen in the past?
I saw, I don't know if it was a GIF or something, or just maybe just an image on Twitter, and it was depicting the volume you guys were doing. I don't know if it was the first hour or that first day, but it essentially put you guys in the top 10 as far as exchanges go.
Yeah, so the image that you saw referenced the Bitwise report, and I'll actually drop a little bit of, you know how I love to drop some secrets on the show.
Yes.
I'll drop one related to that. So we are actually producing a webinar with Bitwise and our partners at OneTick. And so Bitwise, if you don't know who they are, they produced that kind of syndicated report that went out about exchange volume being fake. Do you guys remember that report?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that one got circulated everywhere. I think every outlet picked it up. It really was very widely disseminated. And what the conclusion of that report was there was only really clearly 10 exchanges that aren't faking volume. And by the numbers, we did, so this is staggering to me still, we did over 1 million in volume on Beaxy pairs alone in the first hour of operation.
Holy cow.
Yeah, mind you, this is not even a fully operational exchange. We haven't ironed out all the kinks with registration. We had an early bug. That said, we still did those numbers, and I think forever we will be able to hang our hat on that. But by the end of day one, we had done over 2 million, well over 2 million, I think about 2.5 in total volume. And that put us in that bracket of higher than Poloniex, if you look at real volume based on that report. So what that report was basically saying these are the top 10 that we think have actual legitimate volume that's not being washed or spoofed or whatever. And we would have already been in the top 10 exchanges globally by those numbers.
That's super impressive. Chamber, what do you think about that?
It's crazy. I mean, just to see, obviously, we've had Franklin on the show, we've had REKT on the show, and just to see where it started from and where it's gotten to now, we always kind of knew it was going to get to this point, I think, in our heart of hearts, but to see it actually happen, I think it's super impressive. Also, we alluded to it before, just the amount of feedback and just openness that Beaxy has in the community as far as transparency goes, as far as, like you said, the customer service team doing what they're doing at extremely high level. All the, see, crypto Twitter can be a little negative place sometimes. And I'm seeing people getting converted, some real, venomous tweets coming across. And, whoever's operating the Beaxy Twitter handle is converting a lot of those ugly tweets. So I'm just super impressed overall.
Thank you.
Is that you, Franklin? You're on the Twitter?
Yeah, we joke that's our intern. So that's what they call me in the office now.
The funny thing
that
is
actually came from Romano. Did I tell you guys that story?
No.
Whenever we were getting roundly roasted over our referral campaign, Romano had joked that at the very least whoever's doing your PR is or whichever intern is doing your PR is doing a good job, which was me. So
that's friend of the show, Romano.
Greatest
that was funny to me, and it's still funny to me. At the end of the day, I think you're exactly right to call out the narrative arc there of where we started from and where we're at now. I mean, thinking about where we were when we started Beaxy, or at least, I wasn't there at the beginning of it, but when I came on, it was a shadow of its current self. I think we've grown tremendously. That's the thing that I would really be most proud of about the Beaxy team is how much development personally and as an organization we've gone through. We didn't even really have a proper office when I started. It was there was a Regis office space. I don't know if you're familiar with those, with a bunch of separate rooms. It was very shitty. It sucked. None of them were really exposed to light at all. It was very kind of dismal scenario. And now, we're in an office in a building connected to the Board of Trade. At least one of our offices is there. We have another office in Armenia, but, we've really progressed tremendously. That office overseas is upgrading to a bigger space. We've hired, maybe 15 or 20 new people since I came on. Wow. We've expanded tremendously. We had a huge uptick in investment. We had a huge uptick in growth. We signed up a bunch of users. Design-wise and platform-wise, things came together really tremendously. We've had amazing cohesion from the customer support department, and listings has been amazing, in terms of, having that really grassroots approach to the community and working with projects, deciding, hey, we don't want to charge a listing fee after initially considering it. There's so many things. There's so many different narrative arcs that we kind of progressed through and became better as people, better in business. So that's been without a doubt, I think the coolest part of it is the journey from, you guys saw it early on with us being, I'm not going to say amateur, but not being a fully composed outfit, now to being, I think, competitive with any set of teams in the entire crypto industry.
I would second that. I think you guys are pretty awesome the way that you've that growth arc has been pretty awesome. I think all of you guys deserve a hearty congratulations and all the fruits of your hard work to come to fruition. So I think that's pretty cool. I want to go back and ask, we just mentioned it really quickly with the U.S. or Binance shutting off to the U.S. What are your do you have any broad opinions on that as either why that actually came, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I don't want to throw stones in a glass house because I think any exchange is always walking a fine line with a lot of what they're doing. Because I don't know if regulation is 100% clear yet, most particularly for exchanges. I think there's still a wide debate about what is considered a security in terms of traded assets in the crypto market and what is not. And so that can be a dividing line. My thought genuinely is that, there was this new regulation that came out. Actually, I believe it was just circulated today about crypto exchanges needing to kind of cooperate globally in terms of, data and compliance. And that is something that legacy markets have always kind of had, already baked in. My guess would be that for a combination of, either lack of licensure or what some have called like the regulatory whack-a-mole game that Binance is playing, or what I believe is probably the more powerful driving factor, the lack of consistency in KYC and AML procedures with them, that they kind of determined that the risk level of operating in the U.S. was too high. I mean, and you guys remember this. We called this a long time ago. What was that, 4 or 5 months ago? 6? I've lost count. What we called specifically was this coming for Binance. And we also called a situation where KYC was going to become industry standard. And I actually spoke about this with the gentleman from Bitwise that we're working with. And I think there's kind of a fork in the road coming where you have the majority of exchanges and the entire crypto marketplace really progressing more towards the format of legacy markets where KYC AML is standard. There's compliant data reporting structures that are standard. There's market surveillance that is standard. And there's clear delineation of what assets are going to be considered, be they commodities, securities, or otherwise currencies. And then the other part of that path would be now you've got a set of people that are radically against that notion. And then they kind of go the atomic swap, anon, we're not going to comply with the structure or strategy, which cryptocurrency is also suited for. That kind of peer-to-peer anonymized marketplace, currencies like Monero, which are able to kind of still conceal the identity of participants in transactions. So I really see that kind of as a fork in the road between fully regulated and compliant marketplaces per the status quo, and then this new kind of peer-to-peer marketplace facilitated by cryptocurrency in a truly anonymous and private way. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with either side of things, and to an extent one side can help the other, but I do think that's the fork in the road coming. And to tie it back to Binance, I think they kind of heard the music and were like, well, we haven't been sort of reporting data or monitoring customers in the way that we should have been to be compliant to operate in U.S. markets. And then you can also get into the debate around BNB as a security if you want to. But I would say the main thing is they didn't have the proper user data structures and or licensure to be compliantly operating in the U.S. So that's my 2 cents on it. We've tried to do things differently at Beaxy.
Sure. We also kind of saw some of this happening with exchanges that are already operating in the U.S. with some stuff with Bittrex. I think we were talking in the Discord about how they put out something with proof of funds, and they delisted a bunch of coins and stopped operating in New York State. So same kind of deal, or do you see, what's the difference there between what Bittrex, who's a U.S. exchange, and then what Beaxy is doing to kind of be ahead of that game?
Right. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, our position is that we are compliant in the jurisdictions we operate in with those relevant laws, and I think it's going to come to a head soon with exchanges, with regulators, with assets that are being traded on those exchanges, as to what exactly is okay and is not okay. If you look at like a coin center position on digital assets, their position is that the majority of them are not securities. But if you were to talk to kind of a bearish regulator, their position might be that the majority of them are securities. And so I think the exchange is kind of somewhere in the middle of that, being positioned in the United States. If you're operating there, that's going to be where the hammer falls. But it need not be a capitulation thing where exchanges are kind of just pulling assets without regard for what the actual position is. I think you can kind of take a stand there and say, we've gotten legal opinions around these assets. We are complying with the laws that we think are the ones that need to be complied with. If there are new ones, tell us. If there are ones that we are maybe not complying with that we should be, let us know. But I think it's comes down to a couple things. Do you have KYC AML as standard, and we have from day one? Do you have legal opinions on the assets that you list and their status as securities or not securities? And then are you kind of following the set of rules that to your legal counsel are the right set of rules. If it comes down to it, we would still stand by our practices, but we've set up our system so that, worst case scenario, geofencing can be done, where certain folks can access certain assets and certain folks can't. But we're confident in our position that, the assets we're listing are okay to trade for the jurisdictions we operate in, and that's been our position.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I appreciate that, because I think that's the big question that I saw when all that news was dropping that was going on in the Discord was essentially, okay, well, why are they having to do this and you're not, right? So I think that's an interesting clarification to make and a good explanation. If we have picked up any new listeners since the last time that you were on, talk a little bit about the Beaxy token, how it works, what you're going to be able to do with it, and things like that, just in case we have new listeners that didn't hear you last time you were on.
Yeah, perfect. So Beaxy token functions like a loyalty rewards program would. You can think of Starbucks points or American Airlines miles is probably the best example. So if you use the American Airlines example kind of equivalent, you have a situation where the more points you accumulate, the better your access to different rewards. Those points can be used to purchase services, additional features. They basically act like an internal currency for that company, whereby the more of them you have, the better your access, the better your features, the lower your fees, the more you can do effectively. And that's very much the case with BXY token. So again, it's, the higher your threshold of BXY, we have what we call user levels. You can work your way all the way up to platinum. And if you're at that platinum level, then you're able to do a lot of things and access a lot of features. And especially as we expand out our feature set, that's going to be really, really attractive. The other aspect to that is reduction of fees, of course. And then I think as an internal currency mechanism, it can help liquidity provision on the exchange. It can be a base pair. As we said, our own token pairs did the highest volume by a long shot on the first couple of days. So that was really cool to see. And I think it kind of proved out that nature of what that token is and what it represents. And then you have a secondary kind of tokenized feature, is what I would describe it as on the exchange, which is called PLS. So if you're in an approved jurisdiction, there's a couple that are restricted because you could consider a legal argument where that PLS seems like a dividend mechanism. Well, we really think of it as like a passive reward system, where basically a portion of the trading fees that we collect are basically dispersed out in proportion to the PLS holders and the duration of locking of the PLS. The way that you would access PLS is if you're in an approved jurisdiction, you would swap for Beaxy tokens, and then those PLS would be locked, and then your Beaxy would be locked, and then the Beaxy would basically become unlocked once the PLS does. And so that's kind of how that works. It's a way that folks can kind of receive additional benefit from using the platform in terms of actual rewards.
That's awesome. So pick up your Beaxy is what it sounds like. Chamber, you got any questions here? I got one more before we get into our other segment here, unless you got any.
No, I'm okay. What's your question? You always have the good ones. I'm dope.
I want to know, so now Beaxy has launched, and we have seen how awesome the engine is and everything like that. We are talking to the marketer. What's next for the next couple months down the road? What can we expect to see, from Beaxy in terms of either, marketing or development? What's kind of first and foremost on the plans?
Yeah, great question. So, there's a lot, and it's kind of a cop-out answer. I'll try and get into some specifics, but I have had...
You can drop all the exclusives,
Yeah. I've had for a while, many months worth of marketing planned. So there's a ton of actual marketing activities that we'll be rolling out, a bunch of educational stuff, in terms of analysis and material about how to use the platform, bunch of email campaigns that we'll be running on different features of Beaxy itself. We have this great take a tour feature, for example, which we really want to bring to people's attention. User acquisition being the key here, scaling into users. The goal is to add about 1,000 users a day. So I think if we can maintain that pace, we'll be profitable very quickly, because I think there's a lot of reasons that our margins are healthy on the exchange, and so we've done some analysis, and we think that 1,000 user a day point is going to be a really great metric to try and keep ourselves to. And then there's increasing liquidity on the platform, of course. So onboarding new liquidity providers is a major priority that some of the folks internally are working on. There's additional things like expanding the feature set itself. So as we have an advanced trading platform, we want to be able to increase the number of order types consistently. I don't think there's a set pace at which we want to do that, but we know that things like stop loss, take profit are very high priorities. And then variations on the order does blank set of trading types. So order sends, order cancels. We want to kind of continue to dive into those and other features that are outside of trading types as well. I think the other aspect to that too is continuing, to explore the regulatory front, making sure that we're always kind of diving deeper there, and expanding the utility of our token is another really essential part of our scaling up process. So making sure that BXY's utility value is always increasing. Every week we try and add some new application of it. So can it be spent here? Can it be used for this kind of remittance? Is there some additional benefit that we can squeeze out of it on a consistent basis? So I would say those things are our priorities. I'm sure I'm missing something. Oh, right. So the one thing I would be missing there too is listings. We are still actively exploring listing new projects. So making sure that we're always rolling out consistently those rounds that we've already scheduled for listings, and then exploring new ones, evaluating projects that we think have merit. That's another important part of it.
That's awesome. So lots of stuff to keep an eye out for Beaxy in the next coming months. It's going to be exciting. Chamber, you ready to move on to our little segment here?
I sure am.
All right. So what we did here, we are calling this segment Fun with Frank.
You saying you want a piece of me?
And what we did was we went out and pulled the Discord, the Beaxy Discord, for some questions directly for Franklin, and not all of these are directly related to Beaxy, Franklin. So, are you ready for this?
I'm a little intimidated by that last statement, but let's give it a shot.
All right, Chamber, you want to start us off with the first one here?
Sure. Well, we'll hit them with
make sure you name who they come from, because I want to shout out the people in the Discord that participated.
So this is from Captain Capitulation on Twitter.
Also, friend of the show.
Captain.
Yeah. I've seen him around. Yeah.
So he has a two-part question here. First part, can you ask? So he wants to know, what are the plans / workaround that they're working on for the PLS token? So what plans do we have for the PLS token?
I think that is specifically related to U.S. Customers, because currently it is not available in the U.S. jurisdiction. So I think he's asking specifically if there's any plans for that to change and how it might in the future.
Yeah, so I don't want to piss off my colleagues and say something that I shouldn't. Our general counsel...
Come on, it's REKT Podcast.
Yeah. No, I know. But they'll roast me. I talk to you guys only once in a blue moon. I have to deal with them every day.
You have to deal with them every day.
Yeah. Our general counsel has a theory that, the way that we classify PLS and the way that we construct it, I got to be careful with how I say this. The way that we construct it can be construed differently. And there's a way that we can kind of classify it as a different sort of financial product. I guess that's probably the best way to say it. So that is the crux of it. That is probably as much as I can say right now.
That makes sense. I think I get what you're saying. Chamber, part 2 of that question?
Part 2 of Captain's question has Lux Core, so Lux, filled out an application for listing. I don't know if you're able to talk about future listings.
Yeah, I mean, I think we usually disclose who has filled out the applications. In this case, I apologize. I don't know if they have or haven't. I think so, just because I know the name came up at some point, but given the relative constant nature of stress and work, things blur together. I think so. That's the best answer. So, sorry, Captain. I think those were kind of half-assed answers on both, but I'm doing my best.
This one comes from a good friend of the Discord, Harmonic Whale. So these are two-part questions. First of all, Harmonic Whale, he's about to become extinct, I think, if he keeps at it on the Discord. And then, so he's got two questions here. One, what would you say is the most challenging part of your job? And then the second piece is, who do you consider your top competitor and why?
Both really good questions by Whale. I'm going to take him off the endangered species list because those are really solid questions. No, I have a running joke with him that there was this news story about 70 whales dying. It's like it'll be 71 if you keep it up. So So sorry, what was the first one again? I was thinking about the second one.
What's the most challenging part of your job?
Right. Yeah. Wow, hard to say. I think the challenging part of it is that I have not always dealt with stress very well, and when you work at a job like this, the stress can be pretty constant, and it spikes to really high levels. So I think having effective stress management can be difficult. Having healthy outlets, I think managing your reaction to situations and not having that impulse stress reaction that we often commonly revert back to. So I think stress management is like one of the more chronic, difficult parts of the job. I think the other stuff is just managing expectations. And there's multiple parts to that, right? So it depends on the audience for which you must manage expectations. Investors' expectations are different than community members, and community members' expectations are different than contractors that you work with. Having that ability to navigate and manage expectations amongst stakeholders and constituents in your business is difficult. I mean, I think we're doing pretty well at that, but that is challenging because each audience has different needs and requirements and wishes and desires and things like that. And then second one. What was it? Sorry, what was the second question?
Second one was, who do you consider your biggest competitor and why?
Right, yeah. That's tough. I mean, I think for the longest time we said Binance. I think that's probably still true, but it's we've always positioned our business as like ideally, the things that are good about Binance and the things that are good about Coinbase, trying to merge those into one business. So I would say it's those two, just because we know how pure and simple of an on-ramp Coinbase is. We know the user experience is pretty flawless there. We know the kind of, I guess, clout, for lack of a better word, that they have. And then, Binance, we know that they've got retail locked down pretty well. They are considered the altcoin trading platform. So I think it's, if we're looking at two, those would probably be the two that I'd position ourselves against as competitors, that we want to take the best from what they do and leave the worst behind.
Awesome. This next question comes from BXY Moonboy, BOI, and the question is, Franklin, where do babies come from?
Storks. Yeah, the storks go to the baby store, and they're wrapped in swaddling cloths, and they scoop them up in their large bills, and they deliver them to households that put a tooth under their pillow and request a baby. So that's the short answer.
I think that's medically acceptable as well. What do you think, Chamber?
That's the only way I've known it to happen. So story checks out.
I learned that in school. All right, next question, two-parter here from Frank Gertis from the Discord here says, this first one we might have touched on a little bit, but I'll ask it anyway in case you have a different interpretation of it. How is Beaxy going to deal with restrictions and bans on trading? So I think you might have touched on that already, but if there's anything else you want to add there.
Yeah, I think the short answer to that is just that, you know, we would opt towards like geofencing. We've kind of designed it for that, you know, to have that capability. If we put up a fight about some kind of way that we do business and lose that fight, that would be what we would fall back on.
And then the second part here is related to support. How is Beaxy going to keep up their support when the user amount goes 10x? The support has been great so far.
Well, first of all, thanks, fellow Frank. That's what I've been calling him. The support team has done a tremendous job. I think it's well led, and we have an understanding of the tools that we use for support. One part of it is creating macros, so those shortcuts to answer questions, so that you save tremendous amounts of developer time, or customer support agent time, or anyone's time who might have an implication from what that question is, right? So if it's a question around UI, or if it's a question around what's planned for marketing, or if it's a question around this doesn't seem to be working for me, why can't I make a withdrawal, or why can't I make a deposit? Do you have kind of a quick macro that you can refer that person to that 90% of the time is going to answer the question? I think the other part of it is building out static resources, our knowledge portal, our blog, things of that nature, that can serve as consistent, steady sources of information for people, so they may not even have to hit the support system. The other part of that is, I think, finding efficiencies. So finding ways that you can improve upon your systems so that you're just inherently more efficient. And then I think the last part of it is scaling from a resource and personnel perspective. Having the ability to hire more customer support agents in Armenia, which is a IT-heavy nation, and they are, oftentimes there's quite robust, ability to hire and scale personnel over there who know what they're doing, and do it for really affordable costs, I think, relative to like a Western, hiring a Western team. So that's a big part of it too, just the actual personnel and resources. I think hopefully that answered the question, Frank.
Chamber, you're up, buddy.
All right, this one, I'll be interested to see what your thoughts are. This is from Satoshi Jakamoto, and it says, Frank, I was masturbating the other day, and after completion, I realized that it was stepsister porn. Am I a piece of shit?
Satoshi, what?
That's from Sistoshi.
Straight from the Discord.
Right. Well, where to begin with this one? I don't know. It's a mixed bag. I don't know. I'm not even sure how to answer this one. I'm gonna go with no. Like, it's weird, obviously. Piece of shit is maybe pretty strong for that.
All right.
Thank God.
You're clearly violating some social norms there, I think. Are you like an evil person? Probably not. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm really that one's a very confusing question to answer.
So what I'm getting is Frank is pro stepsister porn. Okay.
I'm not pro. I think I'm comfortably neutral on it to the extent that like if that's what I'm kind of a free will, I prefer to give people free will where it's possible. So
comfortably neutral.
I don't think you're doing anything that's like causing harm to another person. And if you're not doing that, I guess if that's what you want to do, like, by all means, buddy. I mean, so that's kind of a complex moral position on that one.
Thanks, Satoshi, for that wonderful question. Chamber, you got another one?
Satoshi Jakamoto. Yes, I do have one more. This one's a bit more in line. I think that was a little blue from Satoshi, but This next one's from Kyle. And Bunch, is this like our friend Kyle McLean, or is this a different Kyle?
No, this is Discord Kyle.
Discord Kyle.
Yep.
Both
These
from
are
Canada.
all straight from the Discord. Oh yeah, he was from Canada too. That's right.
Yeah, that's why I asked. So this is from Kyle from Canada. He asks, with exchanges like Binance, Bittrex, KuCoin, and so many more being very liquid and popular, what is going to be the catalyst to convert even a portion of their users over to Beaxy?
Yeah, good one.
Wait, so hold on. I'm going to jump in here because I'm going to add to it really quick because we have another one that's very similar. So this one's from Alan, and it says, in your eyes, what led to Binance's market share gain, and how can Beaxy replicate that? So you can kind of lump those answers together.
If I'm not mistaken, if that's the Alan that I'm thinking, he and I have had a literal conversation over lunch over that subject. So that's funny that he would ask that because I think he knows that I don't have a super clear answer on it. It's a mystery to me, the Binance part of that, like how they kind of grew so quickly. I think part of it is timing. In business, timing is everything. And I'll use the example of our launch. Like we literally delayed 24 hours, okay? 24 hours. And I think it made a huge difference, the actual live trading launch, because people were like, "Oh, woe is me," and the energy in the Discord the day prior was super high, and now other aspects of timing have been flawless for us. Like the whole Binance closing U.S. markets thing was a huge boon, and the timing was bizarre in terms of how it worked out. Like it really was very surreal to me. So I think timing is really important. I think Binance had tremendous timing. I also think they scaled into what people wanted at that time, which was listings for ICO projects. So everyone was bullish on ICOs at the time, and here Binance was listing those ICOs, which then became altcoins, and the rest is history. And the other part of that is they have a decent trading platform. It's not that bad, So like compared to other platforms, I don't want to name names that are just trash. It was a reasonable place to trade. They had stop loss, things like that. So I think that was probably that one. Sorry, how was the first question phrased?
The first question was phrased, with exchanges like Binance, Bittrex, KuCoin, and so many more being very liquid and popular, what is going to be the catalyst to convert even a portion of their users over to Beaxy?
Got it. Yeah, I mean the answer to this one's a couple things. For one, we have better technology. When it's polished up, it will be unquestionably the best spot exchange platform-wise in the world for cryptocurrency. So I have tremendous faith in our devs and our product, which I think will prove itself to be superior. So part of the inherent psychology of crypto traders, I think, is there's no real loyalty necessarily to any one platform. They just want to go where the best experience is. And so we've seen those shifts from like a Kraken or a Poloniex to a Bittrex to a Binance. That there's been those shifts around to different platforms that came out. And I think I would position ourselves as the next step in that evolutionary process. The other part of this too is just the nature of human psychology. People like to get swept up in a movement, a sort of a paradigm shift. And I think that's the energy that we're creating here, is that this is a fundamental paradigm shift in the way that that trading is done in cryptocurrency, and the way that an exchange approaches you and deals with you as a person. So that's part of it. And then I think we have literally hundreds of other just crazy ideas from all aspects of the business in terms of partnerships, operations, integration, wacky marketing ideas, things that no one has ever done. I'll promise you that. I feel very confident that we will outthink and outwork our competitors. So I think the rest is inevitable.
Wacky marketing ideas, dress chamber like a badger out on a street corner in New York City. Can we make that happen?
I think we can make that happen. I will fast track that actually.
Instead of the arrow, it'll just be a green candle that I'm flipping around.
Yeah, a green candle that you're flipping around, dressed as a badger.
I'm really good at that. I can do all the moves and stuff, so that works out.
Ask me about Beaxy. That's perfect.
That's very Eric
right.
Andre type skit.
Totally. All right, there's two more here that I have. I don't know what this person's username was because when I copied it, it's just a bunch of numbers. So at 44923 repeating numbers, he asks, do you plan, and I don't think English is his first language here. I'm going to interpret it how I think it's asked. Do you, I'm guessing he means to say intend to do IEOs on Beaxy based on the BXY token like other exchanges have? And then his second part is there other utility planned for BXY in the future other than what is already on the plan?
Yeah. So I'll just shortly answer the second one. Yes. I think I kind of addressed that before with the expansion of BXY utility. As far as IEOs, yes, we would like to do them. I think that's a no-brainer. But are they shady in their current structure? Yes, they are. There's a lot of problems with IEOs right now. We've spent a lot of time thinking about it, had some different meetings about it. We've met with possible candidates for IEOs. I think we have one really good one right now. What our legal counsel has said is that they would have to have utility. The token would have to have utility at the time of sale. Basically, as soon as the sale would conclude, that would need to be an immediately utile token for us to even begin to think about doing an IEO. So there's a lot of angles of it. I mean, it's complicated, and I think one thing that we've noticed is that there's a lot of problems with IEOs as far as the equitability of them. You know, I think we actually talked about this last time. Maybe I think I talked about this with you guys where, you know, having, for example, BNB as the means by which you access the IEOs only, like, I don't know. I mean, it's, you know, do we want to do something like that? Is that the most equitable way to do it? I'm not sure. And then there's a lot of problems with the structure of them, you know, whereby certain people were buying up the entire supply and then weird price action happened. There's a lot of kind of risk of manipulation with those. So I think those are problems that need to be solved. Like, we need to do some serious thinking about those problems before we would launch an IEO. But we do have candidates, and we would like to do one at some point.
Interesting. All right, last question here. I left a fun one for last. This comes from Don't Trade Me Bro. And the question is, would you rather get a paper cut between your fingers every time you touch paper or bite your tongue every time you eat something?
I think this one's really obvious, right? Like, I would
It
rather
is for me.
I would rather do the paper because I never touch paper really.
Oh, I would also say paper, and Chamber is saying I can see it. He wants to do the opposite.
Why would you, Chamber? You're going to need to explain yourself if that's the case.
First of all, paper cuts are fucking awful, okay? I bite my tongue 90% of the time when I eat anyways, because I eat like a savage. But yeah, no, paper cuts are the worst. Yeah.
But dude, when was the last time you touched? Oh, you okay? See, I don't
time. I'm surrounded by it.
That's like a pretty cool rap lyric. I'm touching paper all the time.
Yo, I touch paper all the time, bro.
Yeah, no, I don't ever really touch paper. So I think that one's really, really easy for me. I'm pretty firmly in the digital world here. Like, I mean, even cash, like, I don't really use cash. You know, I like shilling metal pay. Yeah. Like, I use metal pay if I'm sending someone money. You know, I'll use a credit card. I'll use whatever. Yeah, I mean, you know, interfacing with cryptocurrency. Like, I don't really have many, if any, occasions on an average day to touch paper.
I touch a lot of paper. And I eat a lot of food. Yeah. So I'm right in the middle on this. But I think I'm still going, I would rather get the paper cut. Dude, there's nothing worse than biting your tongue every time you eat something.
One thing that is worse than biting your tongue is a paper cut.
No, I disagree. Oh man, I hate biting my tongue. Or even worse, like the side of my mouth. Yeah. I can't. Yeah. That's even worse.
I don't. I eat way too much food. I'm like kind of a foodie. I could not handle the biting the tongue.
You wouldn't be able to enjoy what you were eating or anything like that. Like, it would ruin your whole thing.
It would be terrible. I mean, touching paper is not required to live. Eating food is required to live.
Ooh, good point. That's meta, Chamber. You get
meta.
that?
That is meta.
That's right. All right. That is our Fun with Frank segment. Frank, how'd you like that?
You know, that was actually a ton of fun. Some of those questions were a little suspect. Whatever, something's... I'm not even going to try and say the name, the stepsister one.
I'm
trying to catch me in a weird position with that one. Like, what do you even say to that? I mean...
Look, these came right from the Discord, Frank. I just put it out there, and people sent them in. So, you know...
Well, they're degenerates in there. I mean, you gotta expect some of that, so...
That's right. All right. Anything else, Chamber? I think we're coming up to the end here. We've had an awesome fourth Beaxy appearance here, giving everybody everything they need to know about what Beaxy is, where they plan to go, and some inside baseball stuff there. Anything else you want to ask or add, Chamber?
No, I'm good. That was a great one, as per usual.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And Franklin, give the people all the social media where they can find yourself and Beaxy and the website, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we're on Twitter at Beaxy Exchange. Instagram is new at Beaxy Official. YouTube is also pretty new. We got some cool videos coming out there about how to use the platform. I think that's also Beaxy Exchange. And then our Discord. There's links all over the place. It should be pretty easy to find one if you just search it on Twitter, or you can even do a Google search for it. Yeah, and then obviously go register for the exchange itself, Beaxy.com. There's ref links abound if you want to go that route. You do still get the benefit of platinum membership for an additional month if you use a ref link. So there's actually some merit to it, not just for the sake of shilling. But yeah, I mean, really, we're early days here, but would encourage you to come and check out the platform. It's it's pretty special. I think what we've built is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think the big thing you should definitely do, if you haven't already, if you're on Discord, check out their Discord. That's where you're going to get all the first information and everything like that. All kinds of ongoing conversation about everything going on, and direct access to the team and stuff, where you don't really have that with a lot of other places, especially exchanges. Franklin's in there all the time, all the other admins, Artac's in there, all the devs are in there, like everybody's in there, and very accessible. So you've heard us talk a lot about the Discord on this episode, but it's very much worth checking out if you have it. So get there and check them out everywhere else as well.
Yeah, definitely the centerpiece of what we do at Beaxy. So if you come in there, you can chat with me, and hopefully don't ask me any awkward questions about the material that you watch after work.
How do you know it was after work? No one ever said that.
I would hope that it's after work. You might be violating too many social norms at that point. I mean, come on, you gotta take it easy. So
you guys actually got me back into Discord. I had deleted it from my phone. I didn't like using it. I preferred Telegram, but now I'm back on Discord, and I'm on it 24/7 now.
Yeah, they each have their own purposes. I really like Discord as a marketing channel, as a community channel, as a way to organize conversation, keep information accessible for people. And then I think Telegram's just a better messaging app. So, to me, they each have their own use cases.
Absolutely. All right. That is going to do it for us. Thank you very much, Franklin. We appreciate you coming on. Next time you come on, who knows when that will be, but hopefully you will still be the all-time leading recurring guest. Well, we should get him something for that, Chamber. I mean,
is there any sort of prize for that?
Yeah, no, we'll get you something. We're going to get you something.
Well, actually, you may be up for... have we tweeted that one out yet, Chamber?
Not yet.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. That's tomorrow.
Okay, so you may find yourself eligible for a prize sooner than you think, Franklin. So,
well then,
there you go.
Excellent.
We'll just leave it at that. As very cryptic as we can be. But other than that, for Chamber, I am Bunchu. Thank you very much to Franklin. Check out Beaxy, and until next time, don't get wrecked. And that is financial advice.